Both of these fermenters have been hanging out next to each other. Ambient temperature has been very cold. I have tilts in them so they've been below freezing, so 32F or 0 Celsius. Most days they were right around 27, which I guess is what Duvel does. So now we're getting ready to getting ready to carbonate it. Now, according to Brew Like a Monk and what I've read on the internet is it goes into the bottles at 2 to 2.5 volume of CO2. And then it's bottle conditioned and it gets raised to 4.25 volumes of CO2. So what I'm going to do is I'm thinking that if we use our regular carbonation process, we'll get to 2.5. And then the other piece is the bottle conditioning piece. Now I use Northern Brewers priming sugar calculator, and all you need is the volume and what your current temperature is. So for this one, we needed 33.85 grams. And for this one, we needed 36.06 because they were a degree different. And the one thing you do have to do is you're going to want to boil water and dissolve the corn syrup. The other thing, you might think this is over the top, but I'm okay with that. On the cold side, you always want to watch out for sneaky little microbes. And so what I did is I dipped these, not these, but the ones that I used to measure the yeast in Star San, and now they're drying in the oven under warm. Because I don't want to introduce anything into the beer at this point, any sneaky little microbes or run into any issues, because we've been at this for a few weeks and now's not the time to skimp on process. So I am adding some yeast, but just 2 grams per fermenter per Lol Brew's website. And I was going to use the bottle and cask, but Tyler at True Brew let me know this was new. And this was also in coordination with Escarpment Labs, and I love those guys. If you haven't checked their website and their YouTube channel, you should, because they're sharing a ton of valuable information. So 2 grams are going into each batch, and clean and sanitize package, sanitize scissors, and I did, go over the top probably, sanitized these little jars, stuck them in the oven to dry. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And then we'll carbonate like we normally do. Hope this works. This is fun, but it's quite the process. All right, 2 grams here. Whoa, are you kidding? That's 4 grams. Boy, I know, but this oh, dump half. Oh, 2.5. Jeez Louise. That's like nothing. Yeah. Now the reason I am adding yeast is because it's now it's beer because there's alcohol. Has been below freezing, 2.1. I think I'm gonna call that good. Except for I can't tear it out now. All right, let's just stay with that. Oh, hold on.
Here, tear off this one. Do you want?
Well, that one's got some sugar in it though. Okay, they should, well, they're cheap little bowls from the dollar store, so now I'm getting a weird number. All right, let's try this again. Okay, so I was an idiot. Trust your gut. That's what I gotta say about this. So something didn't seem right. It didn't seem like enough yeast. It's supposed to be 2 grams per fermenter. But it looks so small, and it's an 11 gram package. What I had it on was grain instead of gram. Luckily I caught it.
Long story short, always check your calibration on your scale.
well, calibrate, I didn't calibrate, but check what you're selecting. But we caught it, and I adjusted the sugar, so now the right amount of sugar is going in, and 2 grams of yeast is going in, and I've got everybody cooking, so that's good. So we're good to go. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the sugar water, and we used 8 ounces of sugar or 250 mLs. And of course we're boiling the water to make sure that there's no sneaky little microbes anywhere in this process. So I'm gonna put that in first, and we're going into clean, sanitized, and pressurized kegs. And then we'll add the beer, and then I'm gonna add the yeast. Now, did I talk about using the house ale versus the cask and bottle? The reason I switched was a couple reasons. One, Tyler recommended it because it's new, and I think I mentioned about they did it in conjunction with Escarpment Labs. The other thing is this yeast, this house ale, is going to be happier at a lower temperature, which is what which we have available. The house has been on a cool side. We've been single digits for the last couple weeks. So I wanted to make sure that when these guys are hanging out at our current room temperature, that the yeast is happy and can carbonate the beer for us. All right, so we had some technical difficulties when it came to filming, but what I did is I added the corn sugar and water, boiled water, into the keg first, and now we're putting the beer in, and then I'm going to add the yeast. And we did, I'm a 5-year-old because I was anxious to see what it tasted like.
Very
and
good.
It's delicious. I don't know how close it is to this guy, but 5 gallons of the first 5 gallons is delicious, which I'm happy about because you just never want to have a sink drinker when you're home brewing. So I'm hopeful it's close, but it tastes good, so that's a good thing. All right, here we go. 2 grams, measured correctly, and I'm just gonna sprinkle it in, and then we're going to proceed with our normal fast kegging process and let this guy sit out at room temperature and hope for the best. Now, according to Brew Like a Monk, it hangs out at room temperature for 2 weeks to condition, and then we drop the temperature again, and to like a lager temperature. Actually, it gets cooled. So fingers crossed. So I wanted to show you the result of carbonating the beer like we always do in a keg and adding corn sugar and yeast into the keg. So according to Brew Like a Monk, the Duvel has 2 to 2.5 volumes of dissolved CO2 going into the bottle, and then finishes at 4.25 volumes. So if you watch the video where we talked about doing the yeast parallel and the brew, you'll see when I opened up the Duvel, it came gushing out. So we want that level of carbonation in this beer, which made me really nervous. That's why I put it in kegs. But I wanted to show you the result of that double carbonation. WLP 570. Whoops, they overdid it. There's a ton of carbonation, and that foam is going to turn into beer, which I'm fine with. Here is the Omega Belgian Ale A. Now this too, you can already see it. Get a little close up there for you. You can see that turning into beer. And what's really cool about this, like this one I did a better job not over-filling, but that's how you get that beautiful Belgian lace. So I just thought I'd show you. All right, here we are a few minutes later. Look at this Belgian lace. It's beautiful, and we'll find out in the next couple days how it does against the other clones. So the contest. At the contest there were 10 beers, and one of them was the actual commercial example, the Duvel. Top amount of points you could give were 35. So as expected, the Duvel did get the most amount of points, which it should. The goal is to try to get as close as possible to the commercial example of the Duvel. Then the second place winner would be really the top brewer, the top beer. And in this case, the gentleman who did win, John Green, he brewed 3 batches and then he blended to get to as close as he could to the Duvel, which is brilliant. Now, that beautiful foam and carbonation level that I was so proud of became a detriment. We tried 3 times to package it. It was a disaster every time. And then we decided to take the keg. But if you've ever moved a keg, especially of a light colored beer, and if you don't have a floating dip tube, you know you're going to get sediment and you're going to stir things up. Well, so it not only got jostled around, but it actually fell and was laying on its side. So it was a complete mess. I couldn't even pick it out in the lineup. It was all blind tasting. And how did it do? It was number 10. I gotta say, all the beers were delicious. They were solid golden blonde ales, or golden, what are they?
Strong.
Golden strong. They were solid golden strong ales. They were delicious. I couldn't pick mine out. It didn't look like this on the table. Many people got the foam, the carbonation. It was beautiful. But not a surprise after it tipped over and got jostled around that it didn't look like this on Saturday, and that's okay. And nor did it taste like the beer I remembered. So it's all good. I learned a ton. If you have a bunch of friends that might want to do this with you, it's great. It's a fun thing to do. But it's, in this particular one, it was quite the learning process. But it was fun. We all agree that there's something very specific that they're doing in their process that makes this beer so special and so hard to do as a home brewer. And if you made it this far, please like and subscribe, and thanks a pint for watching.